The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. At that time Jesus withdrew to the region of Tyre and Sidon, and behold, a Canaanite woman of that district came and called out, "Have pity on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But Jesus did not say a word in answer to her. Jesus' disciples came and asked him, "Send her away. She keeps calling out after us." And he said in reply, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But the woman came and did Jesus homage, saying, "Lord, help me." And he said in reply, "It is not right to take the food of the children and throw it to the dogs." So she said, "Please, Lord, for even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of their masters." Then Jesus said to her in reply, "Oh, woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And the woman's daughter was healed from that hour. The gospel of the Lord. Oh, great is your faith. So let it be done. Parla più piano, nessuno sentirà. Il nostro amore viviamo io e te. Nessuno sa la verità, neppure il cielo che ti guarda da lassù. Well, those are words of an old Italian love song. You may notice them as the tune, anyway, to the theme song for The Godfather. I was thinking of that song because, of course, The Godfather is set in partly in Sicily. At least the family of The Godfather comes from a little town, Corleone, not far from the town where my grandfather grew up, which is Castellammare del Golfo. My maternal grandfather was an immigrant from Sicily. And I was thinking of him these days, and that song came to mind when I was thinking about the way in which these days in August, the early days of August, leading up to the feast of the Assumption of Mary, they call Festa d'Agosto. And I always wondered why they didn't call it the Feast of the Assumption in Italian. Instead, they'd say Festa d'Agosto, which just means the Feast of August. And there's a way in which I found out later on, the reason they do that is because the Festa d'Agosto predates Christianity. The Festa d'Agosto really is early August. There's a break in the agricultural season of southern Italy where people who have labored really, really hard and often in extreme conditions for generations, but each year they'd get a break. Usually late July and early August, there'd be a break in the season because all the planting was done, now things are growing, and the harvesting won't begin for maybe a couple more weeks. And so they'd celebrate. They had a break. Festa d'Agosto, they called it. And it had all kinds of traditions associated. It was later on that in the papal states, at least in Italy, the Pope declared that the Festa d'Agosto is really the celebration of the Assumption of Mary, which is the feast that fell along there. So the celebrations of Festa d'Agosto got merged into the celebrations of August 15th. We here in Philadelphia and down at the Jersey Shore have celebrations for the Assumption of Mary, often sometimes associated with blessing of the sea and often tuned into nature in all kinds of ways. Well, I was thinking of that because of the time that we're in, and we're also in the kind of quiet time before the rush of students comes, so it's like the last time you can take a break before the academic year begins. We don't live agricultural lives, but the academic calendar offers a similar thing, a little bit of quiet before we break in. And that song, the old song from The Godfather, the lyrics of it go like this: "Speak softly and no one will hear. We live our love, just the two of us. Nobody knows the truth, not even the sky that's watching us from above. So speak softly and come closer to me. I want to feel your eyes inside of me. Nobody knows the truth. It's such a great love that it can't be any greater than this." That song captures an essence of a way in which sometimes we know each other and can see each other in a deep way. In this case, of course, two people who love each other. And maybe that's the irony of the song as it was crafted and chosen for the theme of The Godfather, because sometimes we can know each other and hold our secrets in ways that are unhealthy, and there are other ways in which sometimes we get to know each other, especially in close relationships, where sometimes we can see the other better than they can see themselves. And I think that's part of the dynamic that's going on in today's gospel, where Jesus encounters this Canaanite woman whom he doesn't know, but he encounters this stranger walking along, but he knows in this region of Tyre and Sidon, where he seems to have gone to take a break, to withdraw, as it says, he sees this woman and knows she's a Canaanite. She's not one of his people. She's an outsider. He doesn't really want to deal with her. He's, in some ways, conforming to the conventions, if not the very prejudices of his own culture. And so when she pleads with him to help her, he doesn't even have enough time to even tell her no. And his followers are with him. They're like, she's bothering us. Tell her to go away. Respond to her. And of course, this exchange occurs where he not only tells her he has no interest in helping her, but he really does insult her. Now, I don't think it was intentional, but he says, I'm here to take care of those people who belong to the nation of Israel, my own people. That's who I'm sent on mission to. And he says, therefore, why should I, and he uses this pretty serious metaphor, why take food for the children and throw it to the dogs? It's intended for these, not those. That might be his only thing he was saying, but it's an insult at the end of the day. And this woman, curiously enough, understands that he is somebody who can help her. She has faith in him, maybe more faith in him than he has in himself. And she takes his metaphor and actually turns it right around back on him. And she says, you know what? But even the dogs deserve some scraps from the table. She takes his metaphor and I think embarrasses him. His insult becomes an embarrassment for him. And there's a way in which his response, I think he says, whoa, oh, woman, man, great is your faith. He's stunned by her. And he all of a sudden says, yeah, your faith is incredible, so let it be done. The power of your faith demanding from God something for your child, that'll happen for you because of your faith. And so I think there's a way in which you and I might want to think about that sometimes we have these encounters with each other where we lose a sense of ourself, or we limit or have a limited imagination about who we are and what we can do for each other. I think Jesus is experiencing a little bit that in today's gospel. But when we have these close encounters and intimate encounters, and I'm assuming this scene might be very private because she basically takes Jesus to task, and often enough when we correct people, it's better to do that quietly. And she basically knows him a little better than maybe he knows himself in this scene, even though they're strangers. She sees in him something he can't see in himself. And she says, you can do this. I have faith in you. She does him homage, right? And then all of a sudden, Jesus sees that at her faith and his capacity, and lets the encounter become what it needs to be. It doesn't need to be something loud. It doesn't need to be a total embarrassment for all parties involved. No. A little bit like that old Italian song, speak softly, come closer. Let us see into each other a little bit more so that therefore a greater love can be practiced among us, something greater than what we thought could be. Un grande amore mai più grande esisterà, as the old song says. And so there's a way in which you and I might want to consider this example from Jesus and know that we can sometimes end up in encounters where we learn a little bit more about ourselves because somebody can see into us and know something about us that we need to learn for ourselves, and be educated and opened by that so that we can be more in the practice of love than we thought. Let this Canaanite woman who teaches that to Jesus be an example of us, that you and I, like Jesus, journey along. And we can do more than maybe we expect of ourselves. We can encounter people we may have previously written off, or our old prejudices hold us back from encountering. And in those exchanges, then, we can come to know more deeply who we're called to be, and let faith be active in us in a way that we didn't think it could be. Let faith do things that we weren't quite sure could happen. Amen.